over 40 million people in the US, 18 or older, experience anxiety on a day-to-day basis. Thus, it's so important to understand what anxiety is and how it shows up in the body and how to effectively cope. Hi there, my name is Dr. Kelly Vincent. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and a certified yoga teacher. Stress and anxiety can show up both in the mind and the body in ways that we don't even realize. Some individuals experience headaches, muscle tension, sometimes they notice a shortness in their breath, or impairment in their memory and just overall focus and motivation. So it is so very important to take notice of these symptoms and take notice of the triggers before you engage in coping. One thing that can be super helpful is getting in tune with our nervous system and how activated it is. One thing that I noticed with the Fitbit Sense Watch is they have an EDA scan or an electrodermal activity scan. You put your palm right over the watch and it will scan for the EDA activity. It can be super helpful when the scan is showing that your nervous system is activated to then engage further in some sort of calming activity. Stress and anxiety impacts the entire system, specifically our autonomic nervous system. So our autonomic nervous system is made up of two branches, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is our fight, flight, freeze response. So for example, if you're jogging along and you see a mountain lion, your sympathetic nervous system is going to kick into gear to keep you safe and essentially alive. On the other side of the branch is the parasympathetic nervous system. This is our rest and our digest part of our nervous system. So these two branches essentially ebb and flow all day long depending on what external stimuli is coming into our world. But our body can't differentiate between actual threat and perceived threat. A lot of perceived threat we respond to on a day-to-day basis. So for instance, having a big presentation at work, or maybe a big meeting with your boss, or maybe a social event. It's not actually threatening or dangerous, but it still elicits the same response. Stress and anxiety can have a huge impact on our bodies. For example, when we're under acute stress, it often makes our pupils dilate, our prefrontal cortex, which is our ability to think rationally, goes offline a bit so that we can focus on the fight, flight, or freeze or keeping ourselves safe. We also notice that it can be impactful on our digestive system and cause either chronic GI issues or some other chronic health issues like autoimmune disorders. So it is super important to figure out A, what those triggers are, but then B, effective coping skills and strategies to help manage the intensity of the experience and the frequency. So with all this talk about stress and anxiety, you may be feeling a little anxious and stressed as we talk about it. So let's take a deep breath together and let's explore a few coping skills that can benefit you. I know, everyone says just take a deep breath. But did you know that the breath has the power to regulate our nervous system? So I've been using the Fitbit Sense Watch to help guide my breathing patterns so that when you inhale, it's lengthening, and when you exhale, it's deepening. And as you lengthen and deepen the breath, the parasympathetic nervous system comes online. So another skill that is a go-to skill of mine is called the 5 senses. So essentially the 5 senses is an activity to ground and become more present in the moment. So with the 5 senses exercise, you notice 5 things that you see, 4 things that you hear, 3 things that you can feel, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. And this is really engaging your senses and allowing you to become fully present in the moment in front of you. One important thing to remember about anxiety is that anxiety is not who you are, it's what you experience. So what's so important is to engage in different activities and experiences to re-regulate our nervous system, as we want to go from essentially a human that is being versus a human that is doing. It can be really hard as this is a muscle that needs to be practiced over time. So the first few times it may feel like nothing's working or anxiety is not going away. But think about it as it relates to going into a gym. You walk into a gym and you don't expect a six-pack when you walk out. So when it comes to our heart and our mind, these different skills need to be practiced essentially on a day-to-day basis. And that muscle will build over time and get easier and easier. Using tools like the Fitbit Sense can help you monitor and become more aware of factors that may lead to elevated stress levels that can help bring your body and your mind back into balance. Fitbit Premium offers guided programs to support your stress management goals, including mindfulness sessions, exercise plans, and consistent sleep routines. So if you are feeling isolated, it makes a lot of sense given the times, and you are definitely not alone. So if it's helpful to you, maybe you could reach out for support either with a local therapist or a good friend or family member. Your mental health matters. I hope this was helpful. Share with anyone you think would benefit, and thanks so much for watching.